Yeah, okay. So we've always known that as the boomers retire globally, that they're taking their capital with them. At the same time, they're going to demand more capital from the system for healthcare and pensions. So this is a global tsunami, and it is going to be crushing. Now, in the United States, we've got the millennials to help pay for things. We have a replacement generation. So in relative terms, we know that the carry here is about a third less than what it is everywhere else.
This is Peter Zeihan, an author, geopolitical strategist, and public speaker who specializes in understanding how the world works and how it affects international relations and the global economy. Zeihan's deep analysis and comprehensive research illuminate how globalization, demographics, technology, and many other factors combine to create an unpredictable and rapidly changing world. Peter Zeihan's recent insights on the global economic landscape have been eye-opening and sobering. In his keynote address during an interview, he warned of a boomer-led global tsunami that would be crushing and urged everyone to prepare for the worst. As the baby boomer generation continues to age, they are quickly becoming the world's largest demographic, and with that, they are bringing an unprecedented wave of global change. Zeihan's analysis of the world's geopolitical and economic dynamics is both insightful and alarming. He highlights the various forces at play, such as the Ukraine war, a weakening European Union, the effect of World War II, and globalization that are all creating a perfect storm of economic instability. His predictions point to an increasingly chaotic and unpredictable global economy in the coming years and have been met with both praise and criticism. A closer look at Zeihan's outlook on the global economy reveals that his warnings are well-grounded and should not be taken lightly. Welcome back to our channel. In this video, Peter Zeihan talks about an impending crushing global economic tsunami that the baby boomers would cause. Please watch, like, and share this video. Also, drop your comments and thoughts below. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more related content similar to this. We begin with a short clip of Peter Zeihan.
The bigger problem in the United States is that the millennials are aging out. And, the millennials are now entering their mid-40s. And you need a lot of people in their 20s who are unattached, who can network together with a lot of capital. That's how you get broad-based technological advancement. And we're losing pressure on both of those factors, but they're being obliterated everywhere else. So I would expect the overall pace of technological advancement globally to slow considerably. And the technologies that we do pursue are going to be ones that are pretty close to being operationalized and prototyped already. We're just not going to have the capacity to go for the broad base anymore. And we're already seeing that in Silicon Valley with the liquidation of a lot of the staffs at most of these big tech companies. But compared to everyone else, we're still by far the tallest of the midgets, if you will. And the millennial class in the United States is larger than the millennial class in the rest of the free world combined. And even though the boomers are retiring, we have the least distorted demographic structure of all of the free world. And so we will still have more capital available. So a slower pace, fewer breakthroughs, less broad-based progress, but it's all going to be concentrated here.
Zeihan believes that one of the biggest problems the United States is facing is the millennials aging out. The United States population growth peaked in 1990 and exceeded the baby booms in the 1950s, according to a post by the New York Times. This is the time all the millennials were born. So there was a huge influx of young people into the workforce and society that boosted everything from home buying to general economic growth. But now those millennials are hitting their late 30s and early 40s and starting to leave the workforce. And as they do, they're taking all that economic growth with them. This demographic shift is going to have a profound impact on every aspect of the United States economy, from housing to consumer spending to government revenue. And it's something that we all need to start preparing for now. Listen to these carefully.
Part of what made globalization work is that the Americans sublimated their own geographic advantages. I mean, we basically have the best part of a continent all to ourselves, and metabolizing that land has been the American story from Reconstruction until World War II. That didn't end because of World War II. So we entered World War II as by far the most powerful country in human history. And when the war was ended, all the meaningful competitors were smashed. So we were unassailable. And we decided to use that power disconnect to rebuild parts of the world and put them in an advantage to us. It didn't matter what their geography was. They were allowed to access the world as if they had won because our Navy ensured it. They were able to access our market as if they had won because we saw that as a way to bring them up to speed to help fight the Cold War. So we took everything that we had going for us and pushed it to the side to help everyone else grow. Assuming we're complete pricks about this, and we withdraw all that assistance, the growth story is immense because all of a sudden geography and demography is going to be working for us again. And if we decide we want partners in this process, then we can still have economies of scale as well. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at most likely Southeast Asia, Japan, Mexico, Canada, and then parts of Western Europe that are going to be brought along for the ride. So we get kind of the best of all worlds. We have the millennials for the youth. We have the boomers for the capital. We have our partners for economies of scale and differentiation. And we have to double the size of the industrial plant to replace the parts of the world that aren't going to be brought along. This is going to be the fastest growth story in American history, and it's going to last for a decade. And at the tail end of that, we will have supply chains that are shorter, simpler, cleaner, employing locals, selling to locals, and largely immune to international stresses. This is a really positive story. The greater the shock to any individual country, the more money becomes mobile and seeks a home in a place where there's rule of law and private property rights. And so we're already seeing absolutely mammoth volumes of capital moving out of Europe and the Chinese system and specific to the United States. So for example, BASF, the world's largest chemical company, they're in the process of basically dismantling everything in Germany and moving it to Louisiana because it's their only chance to stay in business. They hope that will allow them to export enough petrochem back to Germany to keep Germany alive, but that would require an industrial build out faster than what the Nazis did during World War II. I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off, but they're going to try. Toyota, build where you sell. Basically, we are seeing that mantra carried out by almost every European and Asian company because they realize you either move where there's markets or you die. But overall, we are looking at Europe is breaking down basically in terms of a major manufacturing power. And China, honestly, it's become a bit of a race. The baby boomers are not a purely American phenomenon. They exist in most of the advanced world for similar reasons. After World War II, soldiers came home, got on with the business of their lives, had a lot of kids. There are German boomers and Korean boomers and so on.
Zeihan cited how the Americans made globalization work and how the World War II effects prevented their competitors from taking power from them. The United States was the only developed nation to come out of World War II unscathed. The others were all smashed. This allowed America to be the uncontested economic hegemon and to set up the post-war global economy. However, this system worked well for America and the world for a few decades, but now it is coming apart at the seams. The cracks started to show during the financial crisis of 2008, but they have become much more apparent in recent years. Listen to these carefully.
Second problem, or second good news, is that for the United States, the debt doesn't matter nearly as much. When you're the global currency, you can do things that no one else can do. One of the things we've seen specifically with the Ukraine war is that the Russians are realizing they're actually more dependent upon the US dollar now than they were before, which is hilarious because they went and they shoved $500 billion into yuan. And then when they tried to get it out, the Chinese were like, no, we don't want to buy that back. And they just lost $500 billion. There's no liquidity. So their option is dollars or euros in physical currency that they move in bricks or barter. So their efforts to move away from the American-dominated system has made them closer to the American-dominated system, and that's just a riot. Apply this now to every currency in the world. The euro and the yen, as part of the sanctions, basically signed up to be subordinate to the US dollar. So the US dollar is more powerful than it has ever been before. And if you consider that only the United States has millennials and it's only the United States now that has demand moving forward. And so it can use normal monetary policy tools like raising interest rates. And there is nowhere but for the dollar to go but up for decades to come. And the less the US trades with the world, the more attractive the US dollar is as a method of exchange for everyone else, because you are less concerned that the US is going to manipulate it now. And that's just the world we're moving into. I mean, it took the world over a century and a half and 2 world wars to ditch the pound because it was so advantageous. And as few people out there that love the United States, we are far more popular in the world today than the Brits were during the 1850s to 1940s.
Since the early 2000s, Russia has been making a concerted effort to wean itself off the United States dollar. This was driven by a desire to avoid the fate of other countries that had seen their economies crippled by United States economic sanctions and a general feeling that the dollar's dominant position was unsustainable. However, Zeihan believes that the Ukrainian crisis has actually revealed that Russia is now more dependent on the dollar than ever before. This is because Russia's main export is oil, and the majority of global oil transactions are still priced in dollars. When the Ukraine war began, Russians were quick to move their money into yuan in an attempt to subvert the United States dollar. However, this backfired when China refused to buy back the yuan, leaving Russians with a loss of $500 billion. This experience has led Russians to realize that they are more dependent on the United States dollar now than before. This is despite their best efforts to diversify their economy away from the dollar. The world is on the brink of a massive economic shift that could dramatically impact the global economy. As baby boomers enter their golden years, a large portion of the population is also aging and retiring, leaving behind a smaller workforce to fill the gap. This has created a situation that could lead to an economic tsunami as a result of rising costs, reduced revenue, and decreased productivity. To avoid the worst of this potential disaster, businesses and individuals need to start preparing now for the boomer-led tidal wave that could be arriving in the near future. Taking proactive action now will help ensure that the impact of such a shift is minimized, allowing businesses and individuals to remain financially secure and in control of their own destinies. That's all for today. If you have any questions or contributions in regard to the topic being discussed in the video today, feel free to let us know in the comments section below. Kindly share this video with your family and friends, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thanks for watching. Anticipate our next video update.